submitted, what would your message be to the public who, have very strong views in both directions when it comes to this project?
Listen, the process is unfolding. The focus report is sent into the regulator. The regulator will review it, and they will make a decision.
Will you wait to see what the regulator's decision is before you make any decision regarding a deadline?
We don't have any. The regulator will do their work independently of anything from me. I'm not involved in it at all, and I haven't seen anything that suggests the deadline will be there.
Premier, if we could put let's put a fine point on this. Is there any reason for you to consider moving the deadline unless the regulator grants approval to a project?
So I'm not going to speculate on what the regulator is going to do.
I'm not asking you to do that, but as you know, there are a lot of people who are wondering whether or not you would entertain amending that date. And the only thing I'm trying to understand is there any scenario under which you would even need to consider amending that date other than the regulator ultimately giving this project an approval?
Well, they require an approval from the regulator. They're going through a process.
So will we hear anything about Northern Pulp before the regulator comes up with a decision?
No.
Premier, your government a couple of years ago made the decision to ban flavored tobacco, and as you know, the Tories have tabled an amendment that would see that ban extend to flavored vaping products. Is that something that you think ought to be considered here in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, we're actually looking at it now through regulation. There's a couple components to this. We can actually ban those through regulation, which we're looking at. The other component is in the province of Nova Scotia, you actually need a license to sell tobacco. You don't to sell vaping products. We're looking at, does that make sense? Because we know in places that are selling both, the product is actually hidden. The product is restricted. All of those worried about places that might not be, so looking at the retail side of that as well. And looking at Health Canada, and as you know, this product is regulated by Health Canada. We think they need to step up in terms of the content of this product. We're hearing stories that people are making this without the kind of scrutiny that I believe would be required, but we will continue to go through and look at that and continue that process because we're going to have to deal with it. Part of the issue for us, and the Minister of Finance has actually wrote a letter to the National Health Minister looking at what products are going to be available that will be sold, because we're going to have to make a decision whether we make all of those products available when it comes to selling the edible side. So we're looking at this regulation. There was an aspect of this bill that I saw today. Actually, the Minister of Education brought to me around putting some of this in the curriculum content. So the ministers looked at that. But for aspects of this bill, the work is actually ongoing right now.
So do you need the legislation then, or would you just do
No, we don't actually ban the flavors. So we're in the process of working down the road, but we may need to in terms of make some other changes that may be required on how what do we deal with that product.
And would we see something this fall during the session?
Not in terms of that. I don't believe. I haven't seen it yet myself. So if it's here, but you may see something in around the flavored product. That work had been ongoing on the regulation side, but the other part of it was from a retail point of view. What does that look like? The restrictions, advertising, all of those types of things, to make sure that we're dealing with this product the same way we're dealing with tobacco.
Do we need vaping products? Does the world need them based on what we know, the troubles they're already causing, and the fact that this is really spiking amongst young people?
Well, the reality is people are using the product, so we need to try to make sure that product is as safe as possible and as restrictive as possible. I think we need to look at the cost of this. Right now, this product is being consumed by young people. We're also noticing a spike from those who have been using this product that they then switched to tobacco. We need to be mindful of that. So there's a whole host of things, strategies around how we deal with this product, because we know the product will be here. How do we best make sure we regulate and control it?
Mr. Houston suggests that there's a gap in the legislation when there's a prohibition on people under 19 buying the stuff, but not on them possessing it. Is that something that the government needs to look at?
Listen, it's the same issue in other of our products, but we would look at it in the context. But one of the things that we need to have a broader discussion about nationally is about how do we make sure that we regulate this product in a way that is keeping it out of the hands of children. How do we make sure that we're doing it in a way that we can control advertising, all the things associated with it? How do we store that product? not to make it glamorous, and all of those other things that we've done around tobacco. One of the ways that we've been able to do on the tobacco side, you need a license to sell that product, you don't the other one. So in the other issue, there's a price point here that we need to make sure that this product, if it's sold in this province, is a point, like tobacco, where it becomes prohibitive. But we're really concerned about some of the stats that we see. You'll hear Dr. Strand talk about this, people who've tried this product, use it for a period of time, and then switch into tobacco product, and that is obviously not the direction we want the province to be going in.
I'll just go back to Boat Harbor for a second. You last week penned an op-ed that ran in the provincial newspaper on the subject of Boat Harbor. Why was that something that you felt was important to do?
Well, because there was a lot of information. This is a very hot topic amongst people in communities. They wanted to make sure all of the things that were factual. That was part of it. This is a very divisive issue for many. We have a process where we go through, and the regulator assesses things based on science. There's accusations out there by people who are saying that we're interfering, or potentially there's a conflict based on that. That is not the case. That's why I'm very cautious about what I say, even to this point, about this. That's why I've stayed away from it. It's why the minister moves away. If we have any discussion at all about this issue, we have the Minister of Environment who leaves any discussion that we might have about it, whether it's in cabinet, caucus, or wherever. So we want to keep the independence, and that letter was really to talk about the independence, and let's talk about the science associated with this and base that decision on that.
Premier, is there any possibility we're going to see a Liberal bill this sitting that will change the Boat Harbor Act date?
I don't. There isn't one drafted, so I don't know. There hasn't one drafted. There's a process going through, and the company's going through one now with the regulator.
Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate it.